when I woke up yesterday, Basil, I had no idea that the Oscars were on. The award show that all the people of the world pay attention to for the last 50 years until the last few years. And
yeah, not recently.
No, not recently at all. But of course, we're talking about the punch slap heard around the world.
Yeah, well, you know what's fun? I was actually, well, you'll learn more later, but I went to a fancy schmancy Oscar party last night.
You went to an Oscar party? Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I was all dressed up.
No,
I was wearing
you're making it
finest. I was looking very dapper.
Oh my!
Yes. It's this very big event that I went to.
You were there.
I was at the Oscars. No, I was not at the official Oscars, as far as any of you will ever be able to verify. But I was at an Oscar party with all these very fancy dressed up folk. It was a real affair, and watched the Oscars. And I will say this: had a catered dinner that. I don't know if maybe it's because I haven't eaten a catered dinner in maybe 3 years, or at least 2.5, but spent a lot of time in the public restroom at this Oscar party. But that's not what the story is about. The story is about the fact that I was too busy at the dessert bar, the dessert buffet, to have heard anything about this until this morning. Even though I was in a room filled with people eagerly observing the ritual. Instantly
on Twitter and other social media platforms sharing your taking your stance on the issue here?
I was entirely disengaged from the actual reason for the season, and I was busy sampling all the delicious catered desserts.
Well, yeah, we're talking about this because if you don't know, Will Smith at the Oscars last night walked up to Chris Rock after he made a joke about his wife and just slapped him. And I have not seen something go this viral in a while. Like the video had,
really absurd. Right.
Yeah, 50 or 60 million views within a couple hours, and it was being shared everywhere. I mean, it was crazy how much this thing went viral. So, you talk about the controllers, you talk about the media flow, you talk about the
narrative control, information streams. They really did it. Now, I don't know what you have planned for this, Gonz. Are we playing the clip or no?
I got the clip. I took out the profanity so we can kind of get a feel for what happened. Okay. So this is the
trigger warning for the live viewers. A little bit of violence, a little bit of Hollywood,
some violence,
Hollywood actor on actor violence.
Oh yeah. Well, we can talk about the many different layers here, but okay, this is we're starting in. Chris Rock is transitioning from one joke to another here.
Smith wins, like, please, Lord. Jada,
Will Smith
I love
laughing,
you.
smiling.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
So for those of you just listening, that's the part where you see, it goes on once Chris Rock makes a joke about G.I. Jane 2 because Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, has alopecia.
Right, so which is a loss of hair.
Loss of hair, yeah. Right, yep. So Chris Rock makes a joke. They pan to the couple, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, and Will Smith is laughing. He's like, oh, yes, another funny joke, ha, 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 But you see the countenance on Jada Pinkett Smith's face change. She kind of does an eye roll, but then they cut away. And this is the part, a lot of people were breaking it down. I want to know what happened between this shot where, Jada Pinkett Smith eye rolls and Will Smith is laughing. Within 10 seconds, he's on stage smacking Chris Rock. So let's just continue here for those of you who did not see the footage or hear it. Eye roll, laughing.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard.
Chris Rock smacked in the face.
Wow. Will Smith just smacked out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Wow.
And this is
dude.
when it gets serious, when people are like, "Oh, wait a second,
Yeah,
was this not a joke?
Yeah, something else."
Because it looks, it is something that they could have planned before, and come up, give me a little slap. If it wasn't, this is the moment where you're like, oh, this is not just like a fun thing they may have planned. Now, we'll get into the was it planned, was it not thing in a second. But that was the moment when Will Smith, Hollywood's, the golden boy, the clean rapper, the white people friendly rapper of the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
The sort of, I don't know, he's just got such a reputation for being a good boy. But the second that he starts screaming profanity, not when he assaulted a man on live television, but when he started yelling profanity is when everybody, the whole thing shifted.
Right. So let's just finish out the clip.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay.
Awkward.
That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
which is a good save. It was as good as he could have done. Now, do you want to get into it? Do you want to start? Should I start?
Yeah, why don't you start? Because the thing is, the Oscars love this. They love that their whole thing went viral.
Point. We should start with. I think we should start with the
chart?
Start with the numbers.
Okay.
Over here at Statista.com, we have the chart numbers for the Oscars TV audience plummets to all-time low, and they have a little chart here. And these are the what are these? The Nielsen ratings, or are these their special Statista ratings?
The source is Nielsen, and the average was about 40 million from the beginning of 2010 viewers. 40 million viewers per live show. Kind of started to go down a little bit in 2014, down, but it's still 30 million.
Right.
In the last couple years.
There's been a trend. There's been a recent trend in the sort of decline of the interest in award shows, especially kind of starts to really maintain a downward trend right around 2016 when Trump took office. I think there was some interesting analysis
that was like
there
the crack in the armor.
Yeah, on what which is either things got so rowdy politically that nobody cared, or perhaps there was more knowledge about the sort of bad behavior of Hollywood. That was also around the Weinstein scandals.
Yeah.
People had just sort of had enough of Hollywood. Dumps at 2018, jumps for a second at 2019, and then 2020. Hard fall. 2021, the lowest it's ever been, went from 40 million viewers to 9.85.
Yeah, under 10 million,
viewers.
which is that's a big drop.
Yeah, I mean that's like nothing. I mean that's useless basically. You a lot of times
Age of Deceit got 6 million, man.
Right. So with the
exactly, this is one night. There's obviously different levels here, but I'm just saying. I mean,
in the world of ratings and the amount of time and money that goes into putting on this show, it would get canceled. Like that is a cancelable rating.
Basil froze.
All award shows, they're not even.
Sorry, you cut out for a moment there. So
okay, sorry about that.
We couldn't hear what you were saying.
Okay, so we're.
He's cut out again. Good. This is going well. Let me check my connection here. Let me make sure it's not me.
All right. Let me check things. Why don't you carry it? Talk about it a little bit. And
okay.
Let me try to fix my stream.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously there's been a lot of conversations. This sparked a whole debate. Was it real? Was it not? Was it staged? Was it not? And there's different levels to this because, you know, on the surface level, you have kind of your normie people looking at it saying like, oh, well, he's trying to protect his wife's name because of her situation, battling alopecia, and it's too far and whatnot. It's an honorable thing. Hello, I can hear you. Yes.
Am I in? Okay.
Yeah. Not cutting out as much.
There's a lot going on with the Smith marriage that it's almost not even worth going into because they famously have this. Right. They famously have this sort of strange arrangement where they're sort of married, but like not really together, but also lots of infidelity. It's just like a whole thing. So that, but he maintains, again, Will Smith's sort of position. And I know, of course, listeners, I'm not saying you should think Will Smith is a good boy. I'm just saying that's been his brand. His brand is that he's extremely friendly. He doesn't curse in his rap career. He's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's almost solely responsible for, the position that African-American people and ethnic people, that's not the right word, minority populations, their participation in Hollywood is widely sort of credited to Will Smith's work. And he just sort of has this reputation of being a moral, upstanding character.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple things that happen here. Number one, Will Smith totally surprising the entire world with his behavior. And oh my gosh, Gonz, my newsfeed is just pretty much a solid block of like Will Smith fall from grace articles. And they're not very interesting. They're not very, I don't know. It is what it is. But there's this HuffPost article we can just poke at real quick. The headline is Will Smith had to shatter his image to get that Oscar. Oh, and that's the next fun part about this is he ended up winning an Oscar for the first time in his life. Yeah. It's the first time in his life he actually won an Oscar. And he gave this apology or whatever.
Sure.
Love makes you
some clips from that
crazy things.
Yeah, I got clips from that the speech. Yeah, just some isolated stuff that I cut down.
Give it to us.
In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. But Richard Williams, and what I loved, thank you, D.
Denzel Washington said something in the background. I couldn't hear what he said, but
Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you. Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said. I look like crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things.
So it was a very emotional speech at the end there, but I find it fascinating that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, on the night he wins for King Richard, it's almost like he's being crowned, but not without a sacrifice, So it's almost like a transformation of Will Smith in this weird game of Hollywood, these people controlling these other people's lives. It's almost like, yes, okay, you get to be king, you're moving up the ranks, but it's not going to be exactly how you want it to be. We get to shape your destiny, so to speak. And it is fascinating. Maybe he gets canceled entirely, maybe not, but I kind of tend to think that because of this sort of king moment, people are going to complain about him, but he's going to be fine. Like he's going to keep going as
No. I mean, it's the classic. We know that the Hollywood elites, they love their esoteric teachings, their occult practices, things like that. And this is a part of it. It's it's the death, it's the rebirth, and so, there really is this sort of, again, he's had his reputation done, arguably, as far as the standards of, secular Hollywood's concerned, he's done great work for, decades and has never won an Oscar. So the fact that it took sort of this the death of a prince,
right,
to crown a king,
and now he's like grown. And you know what's interesting, and this is stuff that I was listening to Mo Fax last night, just live, because he was talking about the issues here. And something he brought up, and I wouldn't have known this, but there's a relaunch of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I guess they removed all the wholesomeness of the original show, and every character has problems now. There's like affairs and drug addicts.
It's the dark, twisted reboot that they love to do on things. Yeah,
and it's almost like it's like a symbolic gesture to like, okay, we're moving Will Smith's pristine image to a more raggedy,
just dangerous. I think dangerous.
Yeah.
He's not safe. His whole career has been, you could call it safe.
Right.
And now he's a dangerous man. Anyways, we kind of go into the minutia of this to start building a case. The Oscars and all award shows, but the Oscars in particular, which is sort of the high temple. It's the
pinnacle
show
of Hollywood.
Yeah, it's the high ritual. It's the number one
way.
Sort of feast of the Hollywood occult, calendar or whatever. People work and people scheme and people bribe and do all sorts of things to make it to this night. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. Not a single person in the world cared anymore. And they were at I think this was their last chance.
This is it. Yeah.
If this year bombed as bad as the past couple years have, I have a feeling they just wouldn't televise them anymore. And not for nothing, the Oscars being the high church ritual of the sort of Hollywood occult elite, and that could be described many different ways, which I won't get into here. But if it lost its power in secular culture, or just in culture in general, then you've got a lot of powerful people who stand to lose from a failed ritual. And again, going back to sort of the occult schools, a lot of times failed rituals are not just a failure. They are a cataclysmic event where bad things, it's not just a good thing didn't happen. It's you lose everything.
Right.
And they weren't going to let that happen. You mix that. So the fact that this was probably the one thing that could possibly get the amount of buzz to make people care. I mean, we're talking about it here. That's incredible.
I know. Well,
we've literally never talked about the Oscars before.
Yeah.
So it's.
I've done occult breakdowns and stuff.
I know. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Well, it's not just me. There's a lot of people that have done that. But yeah, you're right.
I hear you. I'm just saying, nobody cares. We never would have cared. This was the one thing that needed to happen in order to restore power to the ritual.
Oh, by the way, yeah.
As usual, to restore power to a spell, to restore power to a ritual, there must be a sacrifice. And what we have here, you watch the prince die on stage, losing that reputation. Later, he is crowned as king. And, there's something to be said about Chris Rock getting smacked in the face.
The jester, the comedian gets smacked.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Exactly. The MC, the jester, again, a very occult sort of position he's occupying, is the center point. It's almost like Chris Rock did the killing of the prince.
Right,
so you have the prince being killed by the jester. Again, extremely occult significance, and that does it. And it's the only thing people can talk about. I would be very interested to see if Chris Rock posts a picture with a black eye. I think you could tie in the Black Eye Club there, little humiliation ritual.
I don't think he's going to get a black eye from that smack, but it's possible.
Here's the flip. Here's the flip, and this is a very occult flip. It is not Chris Rock being humiliated in this ritual.
Right.
It's Will Smith being humiliated.
Right.
And so, it's whether it was planned or it wasn't, or there were people pulling strings behind the back, somebody in Will Smith's ear before the show, riling him up emotionally, whatever the case may be. It could have been concocted by outside schemers. It could have been planned.
Something interesting to point out, when Will Smith is walking up to Chris Rock, listen to what Chris Rock calls him.
Yeah.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard.
Calls him Richard.
King Richard. Yeah.
King Richard. Yep.
Yeah.
Get into character.
Weird, right? You doesn't call him Will.
No.
Doesn't call him. I mean,
he calls him by the name of the character he's winning an award for.
He's real. I mean, it is such a tell that I don't think it's a tell that it's planned. I don't think Chris Rock thought he was going to get smacked.
I don't know.
Until he saw an angry Will Smith walking towards him. I think at that point he started thinking something bad was going to happen. But yeah, to call him by his name, and again, going to the occult roots of the whole thing, that's what you do in these rituals. Everybody's playing a part. They're playing an archetype. Will Smith playing King Richard. Chris Rock referring to him as Richard, not as Will, which is really a weird tell.
Yeah, weird. Yeah.
And to top it all off, after it all happens, he yells from the crowd. Will sits down, yells from the crowd, the whole thing, the awkward silence. And I think that Chris Rock's line at the end was the completion of the spell.
That was totally it.
He just literally says, that was the best night on television. And that is exactly what the Oscars needed. It's exactly what they wanted. And it's exactly what the whole population caught on to. Because if they did not create the best night of television, then they were completely dead. And I think the fact that was the sort of hocus pocus last word of the ritual really did complete what they were trying to do. And again, I don't know. We could go into, was it planned? Was it not planned?
I don't even think it matters. That's the conversation that everybody else is going to have. That's the distraction.
That's the most boring conversation you can have. Was it planned or was it not? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at this point.
The point was that it was a very successful ritual. That's what I wanted. And it's pretty impressive that it worked so well, I think. Yeah,
a couple things to point out. Obviously, there's that Ephesians 2:2 passage that talks about the prince of the power of the air. I don't know why that page isn't loading. Come on, Bible Hub. What's your deal, bro? All right, well, then I'll talk about the other thing first, which is, here it is. Okay, sorry. Ephesians 2:2, verse 2. Or I'll start with verse 1. And you were dead in your trespasses and sins in which you used to walk when you conformed to the ways of this world and of the ruler of the power of the air, the spirit who is now at work. Wow, what is going on with the internet? Just decides to not work.
Oh, maybe it's the old Gonz's internet today.
All of us, hold on. The power of the air, the spirit who is now at work in the sons of disobedience. So, yeah, this would be the prince of the power of the air, at work again, but maybe having one of his minions move to a quote-unquote king-like position. And just as a side note here,
so a new discovery: Antarctica.
Penguins.
Speaking of ritual and the whole thing, and we skipped the story a few episodes ago because I think we just decided to drop it for other stories. But we've been tracking Antarctica for a while, and the independent.co.uk reported this again like a little over a month ago. Fresh Prince of Antarctica, Will Smith to travel.
Oh my gosh, what?
I told you, man. I kept trying to tell you that this is kind of a bigger deal, but you were kind of like, hey, whatever.
Excuse
no, I'm telling you, man.
Hey, man, don't gotta make it personal. Keep my name out your mouth.
Not a wife, but just you yourself.
Yeah,
What if Will was
just me.
talking? Keep my name. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Will Smith to travel pole to pole for new Disney Plus show. And it says here, Oscar-nominated Grammy-winning actor Will Smith is set to trek from the South Pole to the North Pole this year for a travel documentary that will stream on Disney Plus. Pole to Pole, produced by National Geographic, will see the Men in Black and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air star make the 2,600-mile trek from the South Pole to the North Pole with the camera crew. Blah, blah, blah. They'll do all the stuff, covering the Earth's biomes, as well as capturing footage of Antarctica and the Arctic, which, interestingly enough, had that crazy temperature rise last couple weeks. Very strange. Smith and crew will experience firsthand what it's like to live in some of the most amazing and extreme landscapes of the planet. So, yeah, he's sort of this travel guide from pole to pole, going to stream on Disney Plus. I wonder if he's going to lose some of these jobs. But it's really interesting because this article mentions a couple other things. Speaking of the Alice Bailey's New World Order workers of light, or whatever she called it, the people that are going to help unite the world through different ways. The National Geographic also announced starry documentary projects with James Cameron, Jon Favreau, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Director Jon Favreau will helm Lion, a documentary project that follows a single pride of lions for 4 years, while James Cameron directs wildlife documentaries Secrets of the Elephants and Secrets of the Octopus. Cumberbatch will narrate Super/Natural, a show following, quote, the secret powers and super senses of the world's most extraordinary animals. And to top it off, this has so many implications with animal personhood and robots and the whole deal. Meanwhile, magician David Blaine has an upcoming Disney Plus documentary called Beyond Belief, where he'll travel the world exploring cultures with a history and heritage of supposedly magical rituals or beliefs.